Right, Barry. Monday, another Monday afternoon with Barry, reviewing the games, having a look at the local footy, and also a little look at your favourite team, Richmond. How are you today, Barry?
I'm pretty good, Tom.
Very good. It was a bit of a wet old day on Saturday, wasn't it?
Well, started off the ground was all right. The weather wasn't too bad. The wind got up and the rain got up, and just made it pretty hard for good football.
Yeah, and there was a bit of wind.
Oh well, not
Wind in the first quarter, I noticed.
well. It was a little bit of a breeze. I reckon it'd be 2 or 3 goals, but it sort of even the last quarter, Chelsea had to win twice because the wind in the last quarter the wind turned around again. So it was they still couldn't capitalise on the time.
Interesting game. In a word, you see the headline, Chelsea got smacked. Got a football lesson.
Chelsea was pathetic, Tom.
Pathetic. Are you going to single out players?
Nah, it was just pathetic all team round.
All around.
I think they just might have got a little bit ahead of themselves after the last couple of weeks, but
Maybe Chappell is not yelling at them enough.
oh no, he gave them advice on burst at half time. Everybody can hear it. They could hear it from over here. But
It's pretty quiet 3/4 time.
Now, but he give him a good burst at half time.
We can't give him bursts all the time, I guess.
No, but he can't keep blood out of stone. But it just wasn't Chelsea's day, and the way they played, it didn't have any stars. YCW, but they all just, it was a real good team.
Good team.
Everywhere on the ground, the quick handball was lightning. God, it was.
Last week you went and had a look at them.
And they wasn't as good. I mean,
A bit flat.
They did think, but that just goes to prove that Pringle's a pretty good side, and Pringle was sort of not as good as YCW, but they only got beaten by a goal. So it looks like it might be 1-2 at the moment. Could be a bit of a stand at the moment.
Okay, and then maybe Chelsea 3rd or 4th.
Take a bit of a catching up. So the 3rd, 4th and 5th side, they're a fair bit behind them, the top 2 sides at the moment, especially YCW. They are. Eames it didn't have a big impact on the game. Our man Faber, he didn't play. He played all right. He sort of nullified Eames, but he wasn't. I see the fellow they give the best player to Eames. He wasn't the best player on the ground. There's no way in the world.
Well, we'll get into the game. And by the end of the first quarter, Chelsea scored 2 points to Frankston. Well, YCW 3-4-22.
Well, they were pretty scrambling out because the rain started to come down. There was, it was not a very good game to watch the first quarter. But Louis was standing up the first half. But the first quarter was Sammy Carpenter and Nizer. Probably only 2 or 3 fellas that was sort of pulling their weight. So
it was a bit ordinary. Maybe they partied too hard the week before, or the couple.
But not the second quarter wasn't much.
Second quarter, Chelsea got 1-2-8, 6-8, 44 to YCW.
Well, we scored a goal about 2 minutes before the second quarter ended, so it wasn't. It was a pathetic first half, Colin, and they were taking control, and 6-8 to 1-2 on it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 44-8.
Not a good start.
It was almost getting beyond them at that point.
But the game was just about over then.
So the 3/4 time, Chelsea kicked one more goal, 2-8-20 to 10 goals, 11-71. It was all over.
Yeah, it was all over, right? Because but they didn't have any outstanding players. Washington. It was just a whole team effort by them. Around the ground, they'd play on the handball and delivery was unbelievable for the conditions. It was they put on a bit of a treat.
It says here that Eames starred in the.
Well,
I'm looking at the Mornington Peninsula and the Pan Football League.
Here we go again. These fellas.
The website Sporting Pulse.
He's in love with that, Mister.
So at the end of the game, there was 3 goals, 10 to Chelsea, 28. YCW 15-16, 106, 70, 80, almost an 80-point win.
How many goals they kicked last? 5 goals they kicked in the last quarter.
5 goals last quarter.
5 goals that we kicked.
1.
We kicked 1 goal. Didn't we in the last quarter? It was a little bit. The last quarter started off all right for Chelsea. The first 4 or 5 minutes, I thought they might have made a bit of at least a little bit of a spiritual comeback, but they didn't. It was very short-lived.
Yeah.
And they just took over the last quarter, and that was the end of the game, and it was the end of the whole match, and thank God it's over.
Chappell said it's only round 3. Kept on
Well,
saying it's only round 3. Is that sort of give up talk?
No, you've got to face facts. We're not up to their standard yet, but next couple of weeks we've got to get our confidence back against Mornington and Bon Beach, which we will. There's got to be some change. I'll tell you who played well in the seconds too.
Who? Dougie.
No, not Dougie. Little Talker, and I reckon
Talker?
Nanopoulos. He looks like a walk-up star for the back line. He killed them in that He hasn't played for about...
They had problems with their back line. Rory Gregg, he looked lumbering
Well,
and slow.
Well, he's fullback, but the fellow on him didn't do much damage, and he just, well, it was an all-round bad performance.
He butchered the ball. I saw that a few times.
But they've got to make.
It might have been the conditions.
They've got to make some changes next week.
He's not a man for the conditions. He's pretty good ordinarily. But
well, I don't think. That's what I said to a couple of fellas after. I said I don't think we're a wet weather side. We're a high marking side, like it was 2 weeks ago.
So has Chelsea got ahead of themselves?
A little bit. I mean, the first two games we've played a pretty couple of ordinary sides, and well, Pines finished in the 5 last year.
But not as good this year though, Pines.
Well, we might be a little bit better than Pines, but I think there's a fair gap, as I said before, a fair gap between first and second, the third, fourth and fifth.
And then everyone else.
The rest can sort of please himself.
Now, Harrison.
Done a hamstring, which he was just starting in back in motion, that fella. He had a couple of quite first 2 games, but he was just getting in the action. I was standing next to his old man, and I said, oh, don't tell me. So I went in the room at half time, it was about 3 weeks. He was just, because when he's on fire, I mean, Chelsea's, never mind, that's the way it goes.
That's the way the cookie crumbles. Now give us the goal kickers. There's a lot of them.
Oh, it wouldn't take long to get the goal kickers.
There we
It was Chrissy Warner, Carmody, and who was the other one? McLeod.
That was probably why Carmody got, he was like in the Sporting Pulse, he was right up there with the best players.
Well, he played all right, he was in the top 3 or 4, but no.
He was giving a rap to this must be McAvoy, your mate McAvoy.
Oh, I don't think it was there. I must send some ferret out there. And
ferret.
Well, I don't know, ring up someone around the corner. Ring up someone down Station Street.
Carmody starred, and maybe even, this fellow Dean Kelly, he might be better on the dance floor.
Well, he hasn't done much
singing and dancing than playing football.
Well, but Chappell's got him as a tag the last 2 or 3 weeks, so I think he doesn't sort of get the ball much.
I see him doing a lot of running around.
He looks fit enough, yeah. But
he looks fit enough. But
it might be taking a while to get...
He might, spell in the seconds might...
well, he's got Chappell's got to make a statement next week and bring some players up, bring a couple of young fellas up with a bit more... anyway, because you've got Harrison, you've got at least one change for start, but... no...
The person who didn't rate here was
number 4?
The captain, Anthony Lewis. Apparently he didn't play a good game.
No, well, according to that clown there, look, Lewis was nearly best on the ground. In the first half, he was best on the ground by far.
Well, let's get stuck straight into the votes, Barry. 1 vote.
1 vote to Nizer, played a good 4-quarter game. Played a very good game, as a matter of fact, Nizer.
Okay. 2 votes.
2 votes to Sammy Carpenter, played a champion game all day too. There's only 3 or 4 players who probably put in 4 quarters, and he was one of them.
And finally, 3 votes.
3 votes to Anthony Lewis, number 4. Played a top game, had the most possession on the ground of all players, and an outstanding captain's game.
So Anthony Lewis, 3 votes. Now this is very interesting because the paper and the website, Sporting Pulse,
Get it out, Colin.
gave him 0 votes, not even amongst the best players.
Not in the first 6, that's right.
You've got a statement to make about the papers?
I'll tell you about these reporters in the leader papers. They're definitely crook on Lewis. Last year he got, I give him best on the ground, he got 3 votes in the competition, best and fairest. He never got him in the first 6 played. He's got something, I mean, I don't know whether these fellas can count. I mean, 4 comes after 3. And that's what Anthony Lewis is. I'll give you a little bit of a brief rundown of Lewis's last 10 or 11 seasons. I think the last 10 years he's been the first picked in the interleague side. He won 2 best and fairest in the competition. He's won 3 best and fairest for Chelsea. And he's a very good footballer. And just got picked in the team of the century last year in Chelsea's football side.
So what happened this week?
Look, he had about 26 possessions. He had the most possessions of all players on the ground last Saturday.
Didn't even get mentioned though.
Never got a Zach.
Do you have a message for the paper?
Well, I don't know whether he's watching the game or giving these votes, but well, the best players, because they got a bit of conspiracy against A. Lewis, and he's well, I got a bit racked off last few weeks because he gives his heart to his club, and he's getting no recognition from the papers.
So you reckon it might be McAvoy?
Well, I don't know whether they can count Colin. I mean, let's say it's number 4. And he plays on the wing, and he's a very good footballer. I don't know what who the other reporters are, but I don't think McAvoy was there because you You wouldn't miss him. He's
I've
about
never seen the
55
report.
stone.
I've never seen a report.
Well, he must have, someone else, I know these the reporters, they go out and they they ring up some of the other players from other clubs and get their best players, but and Eames wasn't best on the ground either.
Oh, well, there we go. So we saw in the paper that Chappell said he was
Simon
soft.
McAvoy, tell your clowns, your reporters, just keep an eye on A. Lewis, number 4.
Alright, so a definite spray from Barry to
We'll
the paper.
smarten up because it's an insult.
Very
A.
good.
Lewis. Enough said about that.
So Barry, was there any highlights?
No highlights, not one.
No highlights.
Not a thing.
Saw a couple of marks. A couple of good marks.
No, there was nothing mentioned. It was just a pretty ordinary game.
Scrappy.
Quickly forget that game, the better, Colin.
Okay.
Get out the brain. and
Learn the lesson.
Move on. Get on to the next week and clean up Mornington by 10 goals and get the confidence back. And I don't know when we play Karinga. We'll probably play them a few weeks' time, I think.
Okay. Alright, let's swing over to the AFL. Your boys, Richmond. Did you see any of that game?
What was my prediction last week, Colin? Remember,
You said you'd win by 40 points?
No, I was my prediction about where Chelsea was up to crap, yeah. But I predicted Richmond win by 67 goals and won by 40 points.
Okay, so that's 1 out of 2. So the
Richmond,
Chelsea prediction,
I'm telling you now, it's good to see. I haven't said this before. Richmond are back in business.
they went over there and beat Port Adelaide, which was good. I remember last year they did the same thing in the rain. It was raining and they went over there and they beat Port Adelaide.
That Merrick, he's come in.
Yeah, he's handy,
He's in
isn't
the top 3 ruckman now.
Yeah,
He's got best player.
Very good.
Of course,
Very
Foster
good.
was pretty quiet, but Martin reasonably quiet. But all the other four.
They're saying Revolt's turned a corner.
I told you last week he's back in business. I don't know who they play next week, but Richmond, they're
Sydney.
well, Goods is out, I think, too. Adam Goods.
Yeah.
That's half a side.
Sydney here, I think, in Melbourne. Eddie had.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'll beat Sydney.
Should be close.
It's got, I mean, there's thousands and thousands of Richmond supporters are now beyond the bandwagon now.
Yeah, they'll all start
They'll
coming
be
out,
all
of
on. They say, here we go.
coming out of the woodwork.
If they win next week, look out.
What
Chance
that?
for the ACON.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Because they're playing
haven't seen that
they're
for a while.
playing, they're just coming down in droves. I was watching the game and they are.
So it's fair to say you're excited.
It's nice to have a big side about something,
At
isn't it?
least one win this week, which is good, and we'll get into Chelsea. So who's Chelsea playing next week?
Mornington.
So you'll be there?
I'll be there for sure.
You'll be
yeah.
there to report on the spot?
And I was telling you before we come on air that Karinga's only beaten Bon Beach by 5 goals. And Bon Beach got thrashed last week. And well, I thought they would have really thrashed because Karinga only got beaten by a goal by YCW last week.
Yeah.
Because they got no lead now.
Wellington had a win last week. They beat the Pines, only just though.
Well, they'll be vying for the bottom of the ladder, they still, I reckon.
Yeah. That's right. Karinga won by 30 points over
The Mornington
Bon
won,
Beach.
didn't they?
Yeah.
Who'd they
Wellington
beat?
they beat the Pines by 1 goal.
Yeah, they'll finish on the bottom too, they still, I reckon.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we should beat them by 12
So
goals.
that was a wooden spoon battle, that one this week.
We're going to win by 12 goals next week.
Get a bit of a percentage booster because Chelsea's
And Dane was very quiet. I mean, I forgot about Dane. He's a high mark. He had a bit of a quiet day too.
He's had a good 2 opening rounds.
Oh,
so
he can't.
he can have a bad game, but they need to stand up in these big games.
Well, I mean, the weather, to say it, when it started to rain, I thought, well, that's going to, because we are a very good high marking side, probably the best high marking side in the conference, right?
So currently they're 4th on percentage. They could be as high as 3 and as low as 6th.
Who's out the 5?
Out the 5, there's Mornington, Seaford, Pines, Bon Beach and Edithvale, Asp on the bottom.
So is YCW, Karingal.
YCW, Mount Eliza, Karingal, Chelsea,
Oh, yeah, Mount
Warren.
Eliza, they've stepped up this year, haven't they?
Yeah.
We played them in 3 weeks down there. That'll be an interesting game.
They got pretty big percentages. But we look forward to that. We'll be back here next week for the total report. Your prediction, Chelsea versus Mornington down there. What is it?
Between 6 and 10 goals.
Ooh, so you're saying a possible 45
Something like
point
that.
win.
We'll beat them.
Oh, I look forward to that then.
That's 5 from me and 5 from you.
Goodbye from me.
See you next time.